So, in the last many weeks, we have been discussing from Canto 7, wherein Narada Muni was talking about the duties of 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas to Yudhishthir Maharaj just after Rajasuya sacrifice. In the same assembly where Lord Krishna was personally seated and all the assembled guests are also seated, in the midst of everyone is asking the questions. So, an answer to that, in the 11th chapter, he talked about the duties and the activities of the 4 ashramas, brahmachari, no sorry, 4 varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, which kind of activities help them to attain liberation or going back home back to Godhead. Keeping that in mind as a central focus, all these details are mentioned. And next, in the 12th chapter, there was a discussion about brahmacharis and vanaprasthas. 13th chapter, there was a discussion about sannyasis. And 14th chapter, there was a discussion about grihasthas. So especially we discussed elaborately about the grihasthas in the last 2 classes, that the grihasthas always need to perform 5 yajnas. Deva yajna, Rishi yajna, Dhru yajna, Bhuta yajna, and Pitru yajna. And what are the suitable times and circumstances and all those things and all kind of mentioned during that time. So then some more points are still left in relation to grihasthas, and they will be discussed in the 15th chapter. So what kind of mentality, what kind of temperament, what kind of dedication the grihasthas should have while performing their respective duties, so that their tenure in the grihasthashram will be a suitable factor for them to attain liberation or going back home back to Godhead. So keeping that in mind, in this 15th chapter, there was a discussion about the detached householder. So that is the topic. The 15th chapter describes all the rules for the householders and ends with a summary. Of course, keep the summary aside, but basically, what kind of rules and regulations are prescribed for the householders so that they can continue their household order, grihasthashrama, with a temperament of detachment, vairagya. So that will help them attain liberation in a organized way. That is the theme of this chapter. So this is a big chapter. About 80 verses are there, out of which almost up to 68 verses we see. So what kind of different temperaments are there among the group? Which kind of temperament is suitable for them to attain liberation, and which kind of temperament can cause their bondage in this material world, something like that. So a few things are there. So we'll try to discuss them. It's a big chapter. We may not be able to do in 1 or 2 classes. We may take 3 classes also, but we will try to discuss in a detailed way. Hare Krishna. So let's begin with text 1. So basically many things which seems to be similar to what we discussed in the previous chapter, but whatever points are missed in the previous chapter, they will be touched upon in this chapter, and few additional things are also mentioned, especially in regards to the grihasthas. Sri Narada Uvacha.
Sri Narada Uvacha.
Karmanishta dvija kechit.
Karmanishta dvija kechit.
Tapo nishta nrupapare.
Tapo nishta nrupapare.
Svadhyayenya pravachane.
Svadhyayene pravachane.
Kechana jnana yogayo.
Kechana jnana yogayo. Narad Muni continued, my dear king, some Brahmanas are very much attached to fruitive activities. Some are attached to austerities and penances, and still others study the Vedic literature. Whereas some, although very few, cultivate knowledge and practice different yogas, especially Bhakti Yoga.
So Narada Muni speaks this verse keeping the Brahmanas in the mind, because Brahmanas are those who are qualified to go through the 4 ashramas: brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasi. And Kshatriyas are allowed to go through 3 ashramas only. Brahmachari, Grihastha and Vanaprastha. Kshatriyas are not qualified to take sannyas. And similarly, Vaishyas are allowed to take only 2 ashramas. Brahmachari and Grihastha. They are not even allowed to enter into Vanaprastha or sannyasi. And Shudras, they are only qualified to be in Grihastha ashram. So of course, according to Shastra, as per their capacity, how much they can handle, Shastra prescribe them what all they can do. So keeping a Brahmana in the mind, so in different ashramas, which should be their principal activity? What should be their attachment to? That is being indicated in this verse. So it says that, Hare Krishna, devotees you can mute. Once you are already done with your recitation, you can mute. Yeah. Those who are not responding, those who are not speaking, kindly keep yourself muted. Yeah. Some Brahmanas are devoted to performing rituals and duties, karmanishta. So some Brahmanas are karmanishta and some Brahmanas are taponishta. Some are devoted to performing austerity and some Brahmanas interested in swadhyaya and pravachana. Some are devoted to studying and preaching the Vedas. Basically, they are students and teachers. And finally, some are devoted to Jnana Yoga. Kechana Jnana Yogayo. So now let us try to understand which kind of Brahmana is attached to which kind of activity. So now, in the previous chapter, the superiority of the Brahmana was described. Of course, in the previous chapter at the end, there was a discussion about of the 4 Varnas, Brahmanas are superior because they are the teachers of the Vedas. They are the embodiment of the Vedas. They are Vedas in that sense. So all of us need to take shelter of Shastra to govern our life. But the embodiment of Shastra are the Brahmanas, so that we need to take shelter of a Brahmana. We need to accept a Brahmana as the well-versed Brahmana as a guru, so that they can guide us in a proper direction, so that we can attain liberation. So, but even though from the material point of view, Brahmanas are best, but superior than the Brahmanas are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the Supreme Lord many times says that Go Brahmana Hitacha, I am the worshipper of Brahmanas, but still it is Lord Krishna who was chosen as the person qualified for Agra Puja in the Rajasri sacrifice. There are so many Brahmanas were there in the assembly, but Lord Krishna was chosen as the most qualified person for the Agra Puja. That means, even though from the material point of view, Brahmanas are best, but the Supreme Lord is much superior to the Brahmanas. That point has been indicated in the end of the last chapter. So, among the Brahmanas, there are gradations, of course, but among the social structure, Brahmanas are best. But among the Brahmanas, which Brahmana is best? So, Brahmanas can be in different stages. So, a Brahmana in which stage is considered to be the most suitable Brahmana whose shelter we should be taking? So, which kind of Brahmana is qualified to take shelter or qualified to surrender ourselves, qualified to accept as our Guru? So, now among the Brahmana, there are 4 categories. So, there could be a Brahmana Brahmachari, Brahmana Grihastha, Brahmana Vanaprastha, and Brahmana Sannyasi. So, of the 4 Brahmanas, who should be taken shelter? That is the point. The householder Brahmana is fixed in karma, is a Vipra. So, when a Brahmana is in the household order, they are generally fixed in karma. They are busy executing all the household duties. Such kind of Brahmana should be called as Vipra. So these household Brahmanas are generally Vipras and they always do all these rituals. They come and perform marriage. They come and perform housewarming ceremony, name giving ceremony, all the household ceremony they do and they take Dakshina. So such kind of Brahmanas are called as Vipra. Even sometimes they also take care of the deities in the temples and they are paid for that. Such kind of paid Brahmanas are called, paid Brahmana Grihasthas are called Vipra. They are not considered as Karma Nishtha Dvija Kechit. So some Brahmanas are dedicated to karma and they are performing all their respective duties, whichever they have been trained. So they are Grihastha Brahmanas. Next. Tapo Nishtha Drupapare. When a Brahmana is fixed in austerity, he is Vanaprastha. After completing household duties, when a Brahmana enters into Vanaprastha order, then they are fixed in executing tapasya. They don't do all the Vipra activities. They don't go to temple and worship the deity. They don't perform yajna. They don't perform samskaras for dakshina and all. They are simply interested in, they stay in the forest and they do tapasya. And then when a Brahmana is fixed in study and teaching, is a brahmachari. Swadhyaya anye pravachane. Those Brahmanas who are dedicated to study and teach, they are considered to be brahmachari Brahmanas. And finally, Jnana Yogayo Kechana. When a Brahmana is fixed in Jnana Yoga, he is a sannyasi. So, a sannyasi Brahmana is dedicated to follow Jnana Yoga so that they can attain liberation. So, this is how the 4 types of lifestyle the Brahmanas adopt according to their age, we can say, their situation, their age. The word Nishtha should be understood to be included for each phrase. The later are superior to the former in the list. So first Grahastha, then Vanaprastha, then Brahmachari, then Sannyasi. This is the incremental order of the Brahmanas. So if at all somebody want to accept someone as one's Guru, the Sannyasi Brahmana should be accepted as one's Guru. That is the point here. That is what we have to understand. Only a sannyasi Brahmana should be accepted as one's Guru and their children should be taken. And so that because he himself is on the path of going back to Godhead for the purpose of attaining liberation, so he can inspire his disciples to also attain same thing. If somebody takes a Vipra as a Guru, so Vipra is busy in performing all the samskaras, so he will teach and he will inspire his disciples also to do the similar kind of duties only. So that is the understanding. Whatever one is doing, one inspires one's followers. So that is the common principle. That is understanding. Next. Jnana nishtaya deyani.
Jnana nishtaya deyani.
Kavyani anantyamichyata.
Kavyani anantyamichyata.
Daive cha tad abhave syat.
Daive cha tad bhave syat.
Itarebhyo yatharhata.
Itarebhyo yatharhata. A person desiring liberation for his forefathers or himself should give charity to the Brahmana who adheres to the impersonal monism, that is Jnana Nishtha. In the absence of such an advanced Brahmana, charity may be given to a Brahmana addicted to fruitive activities, that is karma.
A person desiring liberation for his forefathers or for himself should give offerings meant for the Pitrus or the Devatas to a Brahmana who is fixed in. So basically the understanding is that when we perform Deva Yajna or Pitru Yajna, we should invite a Brahmana and feed them. So what kind of Brahmana should be invited? That is the point. So one should invite a Brahmana who is fixed in Jnana Yoga. That means a sannyasi Brahmana should be invited as the recipient of the Mahaprasad of Deva Yajna and Pitru Yajna. So for example, we generally hear this particular point that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila, what is his name? Advaitacharya. Advaitacharya once performed Shraddha ceremony for his parents, and in that he gave that the first bhojan to Srila Haridas Thakur, because according to Advaitacharya, Haridas Thakur is best of all the Brahmanas because he is a Vaishnava devotee. But Haridas Thakur did not take. If you give me, our entire Brahmana community will outcast you. But he said, no problem, let it happen. But according to me, you are the most qualified person to receive the first bhojan. So like that he gave. Same way, in general, from the Varnashrama point of view. So don't put devotee point here. What Adhacharya did is from the devotee point of view. But in general, from Varnashrama point of view, the person who is qualified to receive the first meal is a Brahmana. But among the four kinds of Brahmanas, Sannyasi Brahmana is the most qualified person to receive. Then what happens? If we invite a Sannyasi Brahmana during a Deva Yajna or Pitru Yajna, the result of that Deva Yajna and Pitru Yajna is in line with attainment of liberation. If we invite some other Brahmana in whichever activity is fixed, that kind of result only will be obtained to the host. That is the understanding. In the absence of such an advanced Brahmana, charity may be given to the other Brahmanas. If only when there is no Sannyasi Brahmana, then the charity can be given to the next succeeding orders. Say Brahmachari Brahmana, like basically a teacher Brahmana, or a Vanaprastha Brahmana, or a Grihastha Brahmana. So like that. Kavyani refers to the offerings meant for the Pitrus. Daive refers to the offerings meant for the Devatas. Those articles should be offered to a Brahmana fixed in Jnana in order to achieve liberation for oneself or for one's ancestors. When we perform Shraddha, we are performing Shraddha so that we can bring auspiciousness to our forefathers. If at all we want really some auspiciousness to forefathers, then offer the first bhojan to a Sannyasi Brahmana so that they will get liberated eventually. That is the understanding. The householders desiring liberation should serve the sannyasis because the subject of liberation is also included in these last 5 chapters. Of course, performing Varnashrama duties is not just to perform, but one should perform these duties in such a way that eventually those performed activities should enable one to attain liberation. So when we perform Shraddha rites or Daiva Samskaras, the first recipient should be a Sannyasi Brahmana from the Varnashrama point of view. So that the performer will be, he will develop detachment and attraction towards attainment of liberation. That's how the result will be obtained. Like that. Now, then what about devotee? अभी वो तो वर्णाश्रम ड्यूटी में बोल दिया, but devotee के लिए क्या करने पड़ेगा? Though those practicing pure bhakti should not perform karma, the devotees, देखो again, the pure bhakta like Srivas Pandit, jaisa pure devotee, in spite of being a grihastha, they are excused to performing Deva Yajna and Pitru Yajna. Otherwise, one is supposed to perform, but a devotee like Srivas Thakur, such a person only to perform. So that is what is indicated here. Though those performing pure bhakti should be not perform karma, that means the Shraddha rites or the Deva Samskaras, the devotees who are householders are included when discussing about karma and jnana. But other devotees are prescribed to perform these duties. However, by performing these actions of karma through appointed representatives, just as Bharata or Ambarisha did to preserve the normal social standards, they do not produce obstacles to bhakti. So even liberation is also considered as an obstacle to bhakti, because bhaktas don't want to attain Sahajya Mukti. They want to attain eternal association with the Supreme Lord. So even devotees consider mukti also, liberation also to be an impediment. That's why it is said that even though in order to maintain social custom, when devotees perform such kind of rituals, like Ambarish Maharaj, Bharat Maharaj, we read in the Bhagavatam. Bharat Maharaj we read in the 5th canto and Ambarish Maharaj in the 9th canto. They used to do all these things, but in the core of their heart, they used to tell that, so my dear Lord, being a king, I am supposed to do all these things I am doing for the welfare of the entire citizens, the entire country. But though I am performing this yajna in the name of different devatas, let all these oblations be sent to my Supreme Lord. If he is satisfied, all the devatas are automatically satisfied. Even Bhartamaharaj would think that Idam Indraya Swaha Idam Nama, when that mantra is chanted, he would think that let this offering be for the hands of my Supreme Lord. Because Indra is considered to be the hands of Supreme Lord. So like that he would think. So otherwise, if somebody performs only normal yajna, they will be elevated to Swarga. Because karmic reactions results in elevation to Swarga. But when devotees perform like this, entitled to go to Swarga. So that is the mindset with which one should perform all these rituals. So even in one of the verses later it said that when devotee performs Deva Yajna or Pitru Yajna, they should invite a pure devotee and they should offer the remnants of this yajna to that pure devotee, so that the performer and for whom they are performing, in the case of Pitru Yajna, the forefathers, they all attain pure devotional service and they all will go back to Godhead. Because this pure devotee want to go back to Godhead. So by receiving their mercy, the pure devotee's mercy, they will also will be on the path back to Godhead. So that should be understood here. The 5th and 11th cantos explain that just as the person desiring liberation worships mainly the Jnani, because Jnani is on the path of liberation and does not worship others. So the person desiring Krishna Prema worships mainly the pure devotees. So people in the Varnashrama system, they are recommended to worship Jnani Sannyasi, recommended to worship a pure devotee, a Prema Bhakta, so that they will also get Prema Bhakti. Why Punyatamo Deshaha? The best place is where the devotees reside. So, like so many points are stated here, how devotees should conduct themselves when they are grosas. So the best place for the devotees to stay is in the midst of devotees. They cannot stay in a lonely place and want to practice bhakti. That is very difficult. So better Shastra recommend that they should stay along with the devotee. This is all mentioned in the 7, 14, 21. The devotee is said to be the superior to the Jnani. So we are talking about 4 kinds of Brahmanas. Among the 4 Brahmanas, Jnani Sannyasi is superior. But superior to the Jnani Sannyasi who is aspiring to attain Sajja Mukti is a devotee who is aspiring to get Krishna Prema. So this is mentioned in the Bhagavatam previously. Muktanam api siddhanam Narayana Parayana Sudurlapa Prashantatma Kotishu api Mahamuni. Oh great sage, oh Mahamuni, greater than those who are Jivan Muktas. The Jnani Sannyasi is called considered to be Jivan Mukta. He is already liberated by living because he already became Sannyasi. And those who attain liberation is the devotee of Lord Narayana. So basically, greater than the Jivan Muktas and also the liberated Sajja Muktas is Narayana Parayana. Such as devotee who is in Shanta or another rasa, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vasalya, is very rare, even among 10 millions of people. So like that. Narayana Para, a devotee dedicated to worship Lord Narayana, is better than Jivan Mukta or Sajja Mukta. But among millions of Narayana Paras, one who already attained Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vasalya, Madhurya Ratis are much better. That is the understanding. It is said gifts can be given to someone other than a Brahmana if he is a devotee. That means here Brahmana means Vipra. A Vipra is generally does everything with the intention to get remuneration. So if the gifts are given to such a remuneration taking Brahmana, also get the similar kind of mentality. So that is detrimental for one to attain liberation. That's why it is said, given a chance, if there is a devotee, better to give a devotee. Name Priya Chaturvedi Mad Bhakta Sapacha Priya Tasmai Deyam Tato Grahyan Sacha Pujo Yatahi Aham. This is from Itihas Samuchaya. Lord himself is saying, if a Brahmana well versed in the 4 Vedas, Chaturvedi Brahmana, if he is not a devotee, Name Priya Chaturvedi, even if a Brahmana is a Chaturvedi, but if he is not a devotee, is not dear to me. But Mad Bhakta Sapacha Priya, even if my devotee is born in the family of Sapacha, dog eaters family, but is very dear to me. But if a person, though born in a Chandala family, but if he is a devotee, then he is very dear to me. His remnants must be accepted by all. That means after performing Deva Yajna or Pitru Yajna, the first meal should be offered to such a devotee, and then the remaining should be served to all the devotees, all the assembled guests and hosts. So that is recommended. One should know him to be worthy of everyone's worship, just as I am. So Lord says that when a person is a pure devotee, even though he is born in the dog eaters family, but when he becomes a pure devotee, he is non-different from me. That should be the understanding. Such a pure devotee should be treated as good as the Supreme Lord. So that is the understanding. Immature persons or the jnanis are recommended to worship the deity when enmity between living entities becomes prominent, as mentioned in the previous chapter. So in the last chapter, we saw that. So in Satya Yuga, every person used to respect each other living entity as non-different from the Supreme Lord, because they used to see Paramatma in the heart of every living entity. But eventually, as the time progressed, when Treta Yuga came, then people started finding faults in others and started criticizing others. So then they installed deity, so that at least they will not have any hostile behavior toward the deity. They worship the deity and they respect the deity very wholeheartedly. That's why the deity worship was introduced in Treta Yuga, so that people, even though they disrespect each other, but they don't disrespect the deity. So this statement, however, does not apply to the devotees. So this is for the people in general. But a devotee should be able to see the Paramatma in the heart of every living entity. Should be respecting each and every person as the Supreme Lord, as the representative of Supreme Lord. Atiti Devo Bhava. This statement, however, does not apply to the devotees. For the devotees, worship of the deity is a principal anga of bhakti. So in our Navavida Bhakti, we have Archana. So in that Archana process, we consider the deity is non-different Supreme Lord. Whatever service we want to do, render to Supreme Lord, we render to the deity. At the same time, a Uttama Bhakta never ever disrespect any other living entity also. So Uttama Bhakta sees the Supreme Lord both in the deity as well as in each and every living entity also. So that should be the mentality of a Uttama Bhakta. Madlinga Madbhakta Jana Darshana Sansparshanarchanam Paricharya Suti Prahuva Guna Karmanu Kirtanam. How a devotee should conduct oneself. This is from 11th canto, 11th chapter. One may purify oneself by seeing, by touching, by worshipping, by serving, and by offering prayers of glorification, and by offering obeisances to my deity form and to my pure devotees, both for the Lord's deity, as well as for devotees. So what all? Seeing, touching, worshipping, serving, offering prayers of glorification, and offering obeisances. So among the Navavida Bhakti, we have this Archanam, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. All these things are included in this. So all these things should be rendered to the deity form of the Lord as well as the devotee form of the Lord, both. One should also glorify my transcendental qualities and activities, Shravanam and Kirtanam. Hear with love and faith the narrations of my glories and constantly meditate upon me, Smaranam. So in one sense, the Navavida Bhakti is included in that. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Of course, when you do all these things, it is as good as Atmanivedanam. So Sakyam. Sakyam is also, like we can see, one of the point can be considered to be Sakyam also. But in any case, a devotee should be doing all these 9 angas of bhakti always. And especially here the context of deity worship, So many points are related to deity worship. Seeing the deity, touching the deity, worshipping the deity, serving the deity, offering prayers of glorification to the deity, offering. So everything related to deity are mentioned here. Mama archastapane shraddha swata samhatya chodyama. One should faithfully and lovingly support the installation of my deity. Wherever the deity installation and deity worship is going on, one should always support it very lovingly, affectionately, and surrender. So, because Lord's worship is going to take place, one should cooperate and dedicate for that in that way. And next, one more verse from the 11th canto. Lord says, this is from this 27th chapter is about deity worship. There is one full chapter dedicated for deity worship. How deity worship should be done, how deity installation should be done. Everything has been explained in that particular chapter. So there, Lord Krishna says, while he's speaking to Uddhava, this is from Uddhava Gita section. My devotee should then lovingly decorate me with clothing, deity dressing, a brahmana thread, various ornaments, marks of tilaka and garlands. And he should anoint my body with fragrant oils, chandan, and in all the prescribed manner. So whatever way one should serve the deity, all that should be done. First of all, one should help in deity installation. This is also from 11th canto. Then deity worship, directly or indirectly. Those who are considered foolish in regards to the deity are the jnanis. Generally, jnanis don't engage in deity worship or don't encourage in deity worship. So that's why they are considered to be less intelligent. In the Nrsimha Purana also, the great glory of worshipping the deity is mentioned with the descriptions of worship by Brahma and Ambarisha. So here, Nrsimha Purana talks about how Lord Brahma and how Ambarish Maharaj served the deity. So somebody interested, you can read that, how deity worship should be performed. That will be explaining. In the Vishnu Dharma, was as well Lord Vishnu speaks to Ambarish Maharaj. So Vishnu Dharma, there is discussion about how the deity worship should be done. Absorbing the mind in the deity and giving up all else, one should with complete devotion worship the deity. That means while performing deity worship, one should not be thinking anything else. One should only focus and meditate upon deity worship only. So one should with devotion worship the deity, one's benefactor, and meditate on the deity completely. Should not be thinking anything else. So office, yeah, other things and all should not be thought about while deity worship is being done. While walking, standing, sleeping, or eating, one should think of the Lord in front, behind, above, below, and it all at one side. That means, of course, anyway, while doing deity worship, one should be thinking about the Lord. Even other times, while one is walking, standing, sleeping, or eating, whatever one is doing in the rest of the time, in the home or in the office, also one should be thinking about how to serve the deity. So serving the deity is not different from serving the Supreme Lord, and serving the Supreme Lord is the one and only objective of a devotee. That should be the consciousness of a pure devotee. And this was the consciousness of Ambarish Maharaj. 9th canto talks about how Ambarish Maharaj always engages in the deity worships. Tavai mana Krishna padara vindayor vasham jivai kunda gunanu varnanam. Like that, with all his limb, the five jnanendriyas, five karmendriyas, and four antakaranas, all the 14 senses are completely engaged in serving the Supreme Lord at every moment. There was no is wasted without worshipping the deity. So 9th canto, the description comes about Ambarish Maharaj, because Ambarish Maharaj heard from the Supreme Lord himself only how to worship the deity. So he implemented everything as it is. So in that way. Skanda Purana says, Shala Grama Shila Yatra Tirtham Yojana Trayam. The place extending 3 yojanas around the Shaligrama is a holy. It is a holy place. Basically, either in the temple or in the home, if there is a Shaligram Shila, in all directions from that place, about 3 yojanas. One yojana is 39 kilometers. Sorry, 13 kilometers. 3 yojanas is 39 kilometers. You can roughly take 40 kilometers. So if Shaligram Shila is in the Chowpatty temple, 40 kilometers in a circular way, that entire place is considered to be a holy place. So this entire place is suitable for residence. I hope the entire Bombay should be well within 40 kilometers. So the whole Bombay is a holy place. Because within Bombay, many people, many temples and many devotees might be having Shaligram Shilas. The whole Bombay is a fit place for residence since it is a holy place. That is Kanda Purana saying. And Padma Purana also says something. What it says? Shaligrama Samipetu Krosha Matram Samantataha Kikatepi Mruto Yati Vaikunta Bhavanam Nara. The person who dies near a Shaligrama or a distance of a krosha from it, even in Kikata, goes to Vaikunta. Kikata is a place where most of the sinful people reside. Even in that place, if there is a Shaligram Shila, if somebody dies nearby in the vicinity of the Shaligram Shila, they will be qualified to go to Vaikunta. Because that place is a holy place. Taking birth or dying in a holy place is very auspicious. So in that. So like that. So the point is, even though from the general Varnashrama point of view, one should accept a Jnani Sannyasi, Brahmana. A Brahmana who is taken sannyasa and who is dedicated to practice Jnana with the intention to attain liberation is qualified to accept the first meals during a Deva Yajna or Pitru Yajna. Because the performer will also get a mentality to go back home back to Godhead or to attain liberation. But in the case of a devotee should always invite a pure devotee to receive the first meal. So like because devotees are not interested in Sahajya Mukti, so instead of inviting a Jnani Sannyasi, they should invite a pure devotee. So what level the devotee is, that kind of mercy only the host receives. That should be understood. So it is like that. So is everyone is able to follow? Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, in the beginning of this narration, like explanations, it was mentioned that instead of means offering whatever offerings as to be given to Pitrus, that can be given to a qualified Brahmana or the.
Oh, not like that, not like that, not like that. Of course, the whole thing will be completed in the future verses. First, the preparation should be offered to Lord Vishnu. Then that Mahaprasada should be offered to either Devatas or Pitrus. That way, Pitru Shraddha is completed. Then the first Mahaprasada should be given to a well-qualified, if it is Varnashrama, a well-qualified Jnani Sannyasi. If it is a devotee Grahastha inviting, they should offer it to the pure devotee. After that, the remnant should be served to all the guests.
And Prabhuji, does that mean that like every year when we perform Shraddha for the our Pitrus, that time also we are supposed to feed a devotee on that day?
Yeah, that is what I also understood. Otherwise, it will not be complete. At least, as far as I remember, when a person leaves their body, in the 12th day, we invite a qualified Brahman and we offer him some charity.
Yeah.
So I think it seems that that should be followed throughout one's life.
Okay, because generally I have seen on those means whenever they do yearly Shraddhas, that time some Shida, they call it Shida, like some dry grains and oil and things like that, they offer it to a Brahmana in the temple.
Because they do it, the reason is generally the Brahmanas don't eat other people's home.
Oh.
Even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, if you read, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would accept only that food cooked by Brahmanas. are devotees. He would not eat from the homes of other categories, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So if that is the case, then the grains are offered so that the Brahmana will go and cook himself and offer to his own household deity and then accept.
So, but for the devotees in practical sense, best is we call some devotee and offer them prasada, right?
No, not best. That is the only option left. Because devotee should not call Brahmana because the Brahmanas are intention Sahajya Mukti.
Yeah.
But devotees are not intention Sahajya Mukti. If you invite the Brahmanas and feed them, you are inspired to go to Sahajya Mukti. That is what not aspired by the devotees. A devotee should always invite a pure devotee. But those who are in Varnashrama, at least they should invite a sannyasi Brahmana.
Okay. Because another some small doubt was probably like means suppose there are many pitrus like parents like they pass on different days. So that Shraddha Paksha 15 days we have 3, 4, 5 like that. So once we can call some devotees and feed them, that is the right thing, Prabhuji, every.
That details I don't know, but this is recommended because basically, like I mentioned the story, na, just like Advaitacharya offered the first meal to our Ardas Thakur. So I mean that is a general custom, at least being followed even by Advaitacharya also. That means it is a traditional thing. It is not a new thing.
Okay.
But nowadays we are not even doing anything. Of course, at least something is happening nowadays. In the next generation, we don't know. People say all these things are outdated culture and we know to do. But at least to preserve the culture, it is the responsibility of the current generation. If they follow, it can continue to the next generation. If they don't do, then it will be forgotten completely. Like that, inviting a Brahmana every Shraddha is completely forgotten now. We don't know only.
Yeah.
So
and one another thing what we discussed last, this about Shaligrama and one who dies in 3 kroshas or like 40 kilometers we were discussing. So like see there are so many people who die in Bombay in and around temple or wherever like. So does it mean that because of the effect or the prabhav of Shaligrama, those all people they will go to Vaikuntha, irrespective of whatever their karma account is or whomsoever they are coming?
We cannot simply say, but it is to glorify the effect of Shaligrama. Shaligrama Shila has that potency. It can send even a lowest person to go to Vaikuntha. Just like when a person is killed by Lord Krishna or Lord Rama, they can attain liberation. That is there. But that doesn't mean that everyone will go to spiritual world. Unless and if they are not ready to go back to spiritual, why would they go? Shaligram Shila has that effect. Like, just like we discussed during Ajamil pastime, that holy name has the effect. Holy name is so powerful, it can do anything. But it is not necessarily that that effect will be shown on each and every person. Even though a person may be living next to the house in which Shaligram is there, but the person who is having Shaligram might be following the culture very nicely, but the next door person might be eating meat and doing all the nonsensical activities. If he dies, one may say, yes, Shaligram Shila had an effect to purify him completely and take him to Vaikuntha, but it is not a compulsory. It is up to Shaligram because Shaligram is Abhijna Swarat. He is completely independent. If you want, he will show the mercy. If he does not, he will not show mercy. That is there. And second point, whether this sinful person is ready to go back to Vaikuntha. If he himself is not ready to go back to Vaikuntha, why would Shaligram will send him to Vaikuntha? So like that.
No, sorry, you continue.
For example, in the past, people leave home and they would go towards north. Either they would go to Varanasi or they would go to Haridwar or they would go to Badrikashtam to leave their body. They would never come back. It's basically Vanaprastha. They would walk until they die. So they would die in a holy place, hoping that this holy place had that potency to take me to spiritual world because they have that knowledge. They know that if you die in the holy place, we will go back to Godhead. And they are going to this holy place with that intention to go back to Godhead. Such a people definitely will go back to Godhead. If a person does not have any intention only, so why would Shaligram Shila will send him to go back to Godhead? So like that, that's how we have to understand.
I don't understand Prabhuji. Like, means if it is again the karma account only, then how we say that means Shaligram shows so much prabhav, then ultimately it is boiling down to karma account only. You know, those whose karmas are good, they will go to
See,
Vaikuntha.
okay, I understood. So don't worry. Even when a person just becomes a devotee, just once he chants Hare Krishna Mahamantra had the capacity to send him to Goloka Vrindavan. But still Hare Krishna Mahamantra does not send unless until this person is ready to go back to Goloka Vrindavan. Hare Krishna Mahamantra has that potency. For example, currently our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji had the capacity to appoint anybody in any post. Yes or no? If he desires to do, he can bypass all the protocols and he can make someone in some position. He has the potency, but will he do?
No.
Same way you can apply to holy name and also can apply to Shaligram. There could be a possibility. In some exceptional cases, he may do, but in general, he will not do. So you are getting?
Yeah, means those who Lord wants to show the Kripa Siddhi, only for those persons, all the other rules will be surpassed. But otherwise, within the spectrum of those rules and regulation and karma account, those who are eligible, they will go back to God.
Yes,
Those who are devotees,
yes.
they will definitely.
In general, everyone has to follow the regular protocol of this country or this material world. But if Lord wants, he can create some exception also. That is there. In the case of Ajamila visa, the Yamudas are saying, no, this fellow is a sinful person, he has to go through sinful reactions. But Vishnudas said, no, he has chanted Harinam, so he is exception. That may not happen with everyone. That will happen on some who are the most fortunate people. Just like if Pradhan Mantri ji want to make someone as a character, he can make, even though that person may not be qualified. But if he likes, he can make, he can bypass the rules and make as a special honorable. Like universities also, when they see someone, even though they have not gone through the PhD curriculum, they will give honorable doctorate degree.
Yeah.
That right they have. Just by seeing the person's caliber, they may offer that. Even without going through the strict regime of the curriculum. So like that.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, in connection with what Madhuri Mataji just asked, the previous question, see, if we don't call the sannyasi and if you give some dry rice and other things to in the temple, is that okay? Or you have to get the sannyasi at home?
No. See, Bhagavatam is being spoken 5,000 years back. That time, the things are more personalized and they would invite people. Inviting people, that time they would consider that the Supreme Lord is coming our home. At the current day, situations are different. That's why now many of our devotees, they sponsor in the temple feeding the brahmacharis and deities. So the tradition is being maintained even today also. Even we see sometimes outside people, they would prepare some special, in our Telugu states, they prepare pulihora and they also prepare some sweet rice. They would take it to temple, they would offer to the deities and then they stand outside and they serve everyone in drones, some Mahaprasad in the name of their deceased family members. That culture is there. That culture is even still for being followed. If you can invite someone to our home, that is fine. If you can't invite, at least do something in the temple. So where you have such kind of people, so directly or indirectly, they are following the culture. So in that way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. One thing, whoever is the recipient, such kind of mercy only we receive. So that one we should understand. Whom we are serving, based on the level of that person's similar kind of mercy. I decide for people in Varnashrama, they should serve Jnani Sannyasi, because the Jnani Sannyasi is aspiring liberation. householder also will develop the desire to attain liberation. And for devotees, one should serve a pure devotee so that they will get aspiration to get pure devotional service, Krishna Prema. So this point is clearly made. So there shouldn't be any doubt in this regard. Purpose is important before doing anything. With what intention, with what purpose we are doing, that will decide the results. So one cannot simply do as a ritual. Oh, it is supposed to be done, it should be done like this, not like that. So as I mentioned, nowadays people distribute prasadam in the temple. Of course, the people who are taking that prasadam, of course, there should be a number of people can take. Even here also, after feeding Jnani Sannyasi, we can feed hundreds of our relatives and all. That is fine. The first recipient should be a well qualified person. Same way when they go to temple, they may offer the first meal to the pujari, I suppose. At least the pujari is supposed to be in a sattvic mentality and with an intention to serve the Lord, so that the performer will also get such kind of result. So in that way, we are talking about the first recipient. After the first recipient, remaining all can be like our casual people, our regular friends and relatives. There is no issue. But first recipient should be a well qualified person. That point we should. That's why I gave the example of Advaitacharya and Haridas Thakur.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Dvau daive pitrukarye trin. Sorry. Dvau daive pitrukarye trin.
द्वौ देवे पितृकार्ये त्रीन्
Ekaikam ubayatra va.
एकैकम् उभयत्र वा
Bhojayes susamruddhopi.
पूजयेत् सुसुमुद्रोऽपि
Shraddhe kuryanna vistaram.
श्राद्धे कुर्यान्न विस्तरम्. Translation. During the period for offering oblations to the demigods, one should invite only 2 brahmanas, and while offering oblations to the forefathers, one may invite 3 brahmanas, or in either case, only 1 brahmana will suffice. Even though one is very opulent, he should not endeavor to invite more brahmanas or make various expensive arrangements on those occasions.
And one more point is being mentioned here. Okay, कुछ श्राद्ध है, हम 10 ब्रह्मचार्य को इनवाइट करेंगे, 10 भक्तों को इनवाइट करेंगे, not like that. That is not recommended also. If offering oblations to the devatas, one should invite only 2 brahmanas, maximum 2 brahmanas, not more than that. And in offering oblations to the forefathers, one may invite 3 brahmanas, maximum 3 brahmanas. Or in either case, only 1 brahmana will also suffice. So 1 is also enough, but if one's financial status allows, we can invite 2 or 3 according to circumstance. Even though one is wealthy, he should not endeavor or invite more brahmanas. Even a wealthy person can take care of tens of brahmanas, but still should not invite. The reason will be mentioned in the future verse. Vistaram means many recipients. Same way, one should not invite many devotees also. For devotees, even though we may be inviting devotees, in the case of Devakarya, 2 brahmanas, 2 devotees. In the case of Pitrukarya, maximum 3 devotees. Minimum 1 is okay, but at max, not more than 3. Why? What was the reason? Why this limit? Deshakalochita shraddha.
देशकालोचित श्रद्धा
Dravya patrarhanani cha. We are not hearing. You are muted.
द्रव्यपात्रार्हणानि च
Samyak bhavanti naitani.
सम्यक् भवन्ति नैतानि
Vistaras svajanarpanat.
विस्तरात् स्वजनार्पणात्. If one arranges to feed many brahmanas or relatives during the Shraddha ceremony, there will be discrepancies in the time, place, respectability, and ingredients, the person to be worshipped, and the method of offering worship.
If one arranges to feed many brahmanas or relatives during the Shraddha ceremony, there will be discrepancies in the time, place, respect, eligible persons, and ingredients. So this is the reason why we should not, because the focus will shift here and there. If there are many relatives and many brahmanas are there, our entire focus will go to take care of the brahmanas and take care of the guests, instead of focusing on the samskara that we are performing, the Pitru Yajna or Deva Yajna. Instead of focusing on that, we'll be focusing on taking care of guests only. That's why it is not recommended to invite many people. If many relatives are invited, the respect to the Pitrus will be overlooked. That is the reason. Deshe kale cha samprapte.
Deshe kale.
Yes, Mataji, you can continue.
Deshe kale cha samprapte.
Muni annam hari daivatam.
Muni annam haridevatam.
Shraddhaya vidivat patre.
Shraddhaya vidivat patre.
Nyastam kamaduk akshayam.
Nyastam kamadugga akshayam. Translation: when one gets the opportunity of a suitable, auspicious time and place, one should, with love, offer food prepared with ghee to the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then offer the prasad to the suitable person, a Vaishnava or Brahmana. This will be the cause of everlasting prosperity.
At a suitable auspicious time and place, one should with faith offer food which has been offered to the deity, and then to a suitable person. This will be the cause of everlasting benefits. Akshayam Kamaduk. So in the case of devotee, the everlasting benefit is going back home, back to Godhead. So here the point is clearly made. In the case of Pitru Shraddha or Deva Shraddha, first the bhoga should be offered to the Lord, then it should be offered to the deities, devatas, or it should be they are Pitrus, and then it should be offered to the suitable person, and then to all the guests. If one follows this, one receives everlasting benefit, everlasting result. So like that. So that's why in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is called as Shraddha Patra. Shraddha, first Shraddha Patra is offered to Haridas Thakur. Or same way we can also call it as Muni Annam. The first person who is offered the food is called as, that food is called as Muni Annam. Basically Mahaprasad should be offered to that person. And afterward the remaining should be offered to remaining all people. For example, when we can see like this. Prepare Bhoga, offer to the Lord. So the same Mahaprasad can be offered to the Pitru, can be offered to the Muni Annam, the first person qualified, and the remaining Prasad should be offered to all the other people. So basically like that, so we can say. Muni Annam is the forest food or food gained by proper means. So in the preparation of the food also, forest food means everything is naturally grown in that way. It should first be offered to Lord Vishnu, then it is given to the Pitrus, then it is given to the suitable person, then the remnants will be offered to the all the friends and relatives and guests. So this is the proper procedure. And what we offer also should be called as Muni Annam, prepared with forest food. So like that. So whether we are doing Deva Karya or Pitru Karya, the same procedure should be followed. Devarshi Pitru Bhutebhya
Devarshi Pitru Bhutebhya
Atmane Swajanaya Cha
Atmane Swajanaya Cha
Annam Samvibhajan Pashet
Annam Samvibhajan Pashet
Sarvam Tat Purushatmakam.
Sarvam Tat Purushatmakam. Translation: one should offer prasad to the demigods, the saintly persons, one's forefathers, the people in general, one's family members, one's relatives, and one's friends, seeing them all as devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
In offering prasada to the devatas, the saintly persons, one's forefathers, the people in general, one's family members, one's relatives, and one's friends, one should see them all as devotees of the Supreme Lord. Especially in such particular occasions, whoever is there, they should be treated as Atiti Devo Bhava. Every Atiti is non-different from the Supreme Lord. They are Lord's representative and hence they are devotees. They all should be treated very respectfully. So like that. That is the understanding. Because this is being told for a grahastha. If a grahastha with an intention to go back home back to Godhead, they should be serving each and every person as the representative of the Supreme Lord. Because this is a training. When they go to spiritual world, they should be serving the Lord and Vaikuntha Vasis with the same mentality. And that kind of mentality should be cultivated here while we are here. So that is the understanding. It is very difficult. But unless until we come to that point, we may continue to stay here in this material world. Na dadyat amisham shraddhe
Nadadyat amisam shraddhe
na chadyat dharma tattvavet
nachadya dharma tattvaved
muni annai syat para
munyanye syat para
प्रीतिर यता न पशुहिं sorry मुनि अन्नै स्यात् परा प्रीतिर
munyanye syat para priti
यता न पशुहिंसया
yathana pashuhinsaya. A person fully aware of religious principles should never offer anything like meat, eggs, or fish in the Shraddha ceremony. And even if one is a Kshatriya, he himself should not eat such things. When suitable food prepared with ghee is offered to saintly persons, the function is pleasing to the forefathers and the Supreme Lord, who are never pleased when animals are killed in the name of sacrifice.
This is one of the important point where all Indians make a mistake. In whichever home other than the Brahmanas home we go, they do this mistake. But in the Bhagavatam it is very clearly mentioned. Of course, they do that mistake because they are not doing all those rituals with an intention to go back to Godhead. They are doing because it is a family custom. They are doing it because they want to accumulate some punya or something like that. Or without understanding the purpose they may do. That's why they are doing. But for one who want to go back home back to Godhead, this is the procedure. A person fully aware of religious principles, dharma tattvavet, should never offer meat, eggs, or fish. Na dadyat amisham. Amisham means meat, eggs, or fish, animal products. In the Shraddha ceremony, Shraddhe, and should not eat such things. Na chadyat. First of all, should not offer to the forefathers, and second, they should not accept. But in India, most of the people do this only. They offer to their forefathers saying that our forefathers like this. This is their desired, their favorite food. So in the name of them, they also eat. This is a big mistake all over India. It's going on. The Supreme Lord is pleased by forest offerings. Muni annai syat para pritir. Forest offerings means the simple organic food. Simple food that is obtained from the plants. Forest food, we can also say that plant food. And is never pleased when animals are killed. Yatana pashu himsaya. But when in such activity, when the animals are killed, the Lord is never pleased with that activity. So like that. It is understood like that. नैतादृशा परो धर्मा
नैतादृशा परो धर्मो
नृणां सद्धर्ममिच्छताम्
नृणां सद्धर्ममिच्छताम्
न्यासो दण्डस्य भूतेषु
न्यासो दण्डस्य भूतेषु
मनोवाक्कायजस्य या
मनोवाक्कायजस्य या. Persons who want to advance in superior religion are advised to give up all envy of other living entities, whether in relationship to the body, words, or mind. There is no religion superior to this.
There is no highest dharma than giving up violence to all living beings by mind, words, and body for persons desiring proper principles. Those who want to follow proper dharma with an intention to go back, come back to Godhead, they should give up all himsa activities within their mind, within their words, and within the body, with the body. Manasa, vacha, karmana, one should be away from violent activities. If at all they want to go back, come back to Godhead. There is no higher dharma than giving up violence. Ahimsa dharma. So in that way. Because the purpose is to go back, come back to Godhead. If you are going back to Godhead, why you want to kill the people here? So like that. Eke karma mayan yajnan.
Eke karma. Yes, ma'am.
Mataji, go ahead.
Eke karma mayanyagya.
Jnanino yajnavittama.
Jnanino yagyavittama.
Atma samyamane nita niha.
Atma samyanmane niha.
Juhati jnanadipite.
Juvati jnanadipite. Translation. Because of an awakening of spiritual knowledge, those who are intelligent in regard to sacrifice, who are actually aware of religious principles, and who are free from material desires, control the self in the fire of spiritual knowledge or knowledge of the absolute truth. They may give up the process of ritualistic ceremonies.
So, how the grahasthas should conduct themselves? What kind of mentality they should cultivate? That is being inspired here. Some jnanis, having no material desires and knowledge, and knowing the truth about sacrifice, offer prescribed karmas into the fire of the controlled mind, illuminated by knowledge. The understanding is, when such a grahastha who perform Daiva Yajna and Pitru Yajna. Normally, the Vedas prescribe that if you do Pitru Yajna, you will go to Pitru Loka. If you do Daiva Yajna, you will go to Sarga Loka. So there is a result associated with it. But while performing that Deva Karya, Deva Yajna or Pitru Yajna, if they are thinking about going to Pitru Loka or going to Sarga Loka, they will get that result only. But such kind of desires should not be allowed to enter into the heart. That is called as offering those prescribed karmas into the control of the mind. That means have a proper mind control, only focus about going back to God and attain liberation, not interested in going to Pitraloka or Swargaloka. So with that mentality, one should perform all these things. People in general perform all these rituals with the intention to go to Swargaloka, Pitraloka. But those who want to attain liberation or want to come back to Godhead, they should never ever entertain the desire of going to Pitraloka or going to Swargaloka. That is the meaning of this verse. Those on the highest level reject external actions. Those who have no material desires offer prescribed karmas into the control of the mind, illuminated by knowledge. This means they give up performance of karmas. That means They don't perform karmas with the intention to go to Pitruloka or Swargaloka. They perform karmas because they are supposed to be done without anticipating any associated results, but only with the intention of going back home, back to Godhead or attaining liberation. That is the understanding. So when the statement says that they give up performance of karma, means they don't perform these karmas with the intention to attain the corresponding results. Instead, they perform those karmas simply as a matter of duty. That is the understanding. Similarly, a devotee also should be performing all these rituals not with the intention to get corresponding results, but only with the purpose of getting Krishna Prema. So like that. Dravyayajnayakshamanam
Dravyajnaya kshamanam
दृष्ट्वा भूतानि बिभ्यति
दृष्ट्वा भूतानि बिभयति
एष मा करुणो हन्यात्
एष मा कर्णो अन्या
अतज्ञो हि असुतृप्ध्रुवम्
अजक योनिः असुध्रुवम्. Translation: Upon seeing the person engaged in performing the sacrifice, animals meant to be sacrificed are extremely afraid, thinking, this merciless performer of sacrifice, being ignorant of the purpose of sacrifice and being most satisfied by killing others, will surely kill us.
Upon seeing a person engaged in performing the sacrifice, animals to be sacrificed become extremely afraid, thinking this merciless performer of sacrifices, being ignorant of the truth about Atma and simply in order to maintain himself, will kill us. If at all somebody is going to kill an animal in a Deva Yajna or Pitru Yajna, the animal is thinking, this fellow does not have any knowledge about Atma. And is going to, for his own sense gratification, he is going to kill me with an intention to go to Swarga and enjoy. The animal will be thinking like this. This cruel person who does not know the truth about Atma will kill me without any mercy. Shruti says, you do not know the person. You do not know the person who has produced these creatures, who dwells within you, surrounded by ignorance, uttering mantras to maintain themselves. The priests carry out their actions. For example, in the case of a yajna where animal sacrifice is being performed, the Shastra says that, so to the performer, to the Yajaman, the Shastra is saying that you do not know the person who has produced this creature. That means you are trying to kill this creature when you did not produce the animal only. The animal has been produced by the Supreme Lord. So what right do you have to kill them? They should be having the right to live and they should be dying according to the will of the providence, because it is the providence who created them. So since you are not created, you don't have a right to kill them. So this is the meaning. You do not know the person who produced these creatures, who dwells within them and within you also. The Paramatma is dwelling within you and within the animals also. That also you don't know. Because why you don't know? Because you are surrounded by ignorance. Simply uttering mantras to maintain themselves, the priests carry out their actions. Even though the priest may know all these things, the priests know that the Supreme Lord has created and Paramatma is residing in every heart, but still they don't tell the Yajman. Because if this particular activity is performed, the priest will get dakshina. The priest is interested in dakshina and you are interested in going to Swarga. That's why you are killing the animal. So like that, this verse is saying. That's why now, when during the time of Buddha, people were performing such yajnas mercilessly. They are killing so many animals continuously. So Buddha came, okay, band kar do. So they said Vedas are telling, so then keep the Vedas away. But pehle stop all this unnecessary merciless killing of the animals. It is no way benefiting anybody. So like that. So in this section, the concluding verse, Tasma Daivopapannena
Tasmadevopapannena
Muni Annenapi Dharmaved
hi annenapi dharmavid
Santusto Aha Kuryan
santushto haraha kuryan
Nitya Ki Kriya.
nityanaimitiki kriya. Therefore, day by day, one who is actually aware of religious principles and is not heinously envious of poor animals should happily perform daily sacrifice and those for certain occasions with whatever food is available easily by the grace of the Lord.
Therefore, one who is actually aware of religious principles and is not cruel to animals should daily perform his daily and occasional duties by offering forest foods obtained by the grace of the Lord. Therefore, the final conclusive point is, in the execution of Deva Yajna or Pitru Yajna, one should only use the forest food. Should not use animal products. That is the final recommendation. Santushta means he does not commit violence to animals. So that was the first section. So what kind of rules and what kind of mentality should be cultivated by a Grahastha Brahmana while executing Deva Yajna and Pitru Yajna? So such things are mentioned. Now in the second section, irreligion and adharma activities to be avoided. So what kind of adharmic activity should be avoided in executing all these things? That is the next section. Any questions till now?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, we'll go on. Vidharma paradharmascha
Vidharma paradharmascha
abhasa upamachala
abhasa upamachala
adharma shaka pachame panchamya
adharma shakha panchema
dharmajno dharmavat tyajet.
dharmajno dharmavat tyajet. There are 5 branches of irreligion, appropriately known as irreligion, vidharma, religious principle for which one is unfit, paradharma, pretentious religion, abhasa, analogical religion, upadharma, and cheating religion, chaladharma. One who is aware of real religious life must abandon these 5 as irreligious.
So, what kind of so-called dharmic activities should be avoided? In the name of dharma, people may do anything and they may call it as dharma. So such kind of things are indicated here that should be avoided. That is understanding. The knower of dharma should avoid 5 forbidden types of adharma known as vidharma, paradharma, abhasa dharma, upamana dharma, upama dharma, and chala dharma. Adharmavat means forbidden dharmas. Because all these 5 are having so different names, looks like dharmic only, but they are adharmavat means forbidden. They all should be forbidden. The so-called dharmas all should be forbidden. But what is the meaning of these 5 dharmas? So we have 5 na? Adharma and vidharma, paradharma, abhasa dharma, upama dharma, and chala dharma. The meanings are given in the next verse. Dharma bado vidharma syat.
Dharma badho vidharma syat
Paradharmonya choditaha.
paradharmonya chodita
Upadharmastu pakando.
Upadharmastu pakhando
Dambho va shabda bikchalaha.
dambho va shabdabhichala. Religious principles that obstruct one from following his own religion are called vidharma. Religious principles introduced by others are called paradharma. A new type of religion created by one who is falsely proud and who opposes the principles of the Vedas is called upadharma. And interpretation by one's jugglery of words is called chaladharma.
Vidharma means to perform acts which destroy dharma. So those activities which will actually destroy our dharma is called vidharma. Paradharma means to perform another person's duties. Of course, paradharma, everyone, all of us must have heard from Bhagavad Gita. Swadharma Nidanam Shreya Paradharma Bada Bhayavaha. Somebody else's dharma is paradharma. Upadharma means advertising oneself as a follower of dharma while actually rejecting the Vedas. So oneself proclaiming as dharma dvaji, such kind of dharma. And chala dharma means interpreting the words of the scriptures incorrectly. Shabda big chala. People are saying this, Vedas are saying that. They quote Vedic words and they give different meaning. Such kind of dharmic people are called as chala dharmi. So in that way. The 5 forbidden categories are described, but not in exact order. Of course, the order may be here and there, but overall the meaning of the 5 dharmas are mentioned. Here it is said, Vidharma means that which cancels one dharma when performed, though one thinks it is dharma. So one may be thinking that this is dharmic activity, I should do it. But actually one dharma will be destroyed by doing that activity. For example, just now we discussed, people are supposed to do Shraddha rites. But during the Shraddha rites, they offer meat and wine products, saying that my father liked to eat meat and like to drink wine. I mean, you are trying to perform a dharmic activity, that is offering Shraddha rites, and you are doing sinful activity. So you are not only performing sinful act, and you are not going to get any benefit of performing the dharmic act. So it is completely unbeneficial for both the forefather who died with the recipient and the performer, the son. So like that. That such kind of things are called vidharma. Performing someone else's dharma, duties and occupation of somebody else is called as paradharma. So not much explanation required for this. Upama dharma or upadharma means something resembling dharma, which is not dharma. It refers to the pretenders who actually reject the Vedas, who dress up with matter logs and ashes and announce themselves as the upholders of dharma, dharma dvajis. Externally, they behave like dharma dvajis, but they don't have any proper understanding of why they are doing what they are doing. So like that. Chala dharma refers to a person who explains the scriptures in another way. Shabdabit. For instance, the phrase one should feed at least 10 brahmanas. If the Shastric injunction says that one should feed at least 10 brahmanas, so one can interpret it and say that one should feed less than 10 brahmanas. So at least 10 brahmanas means minimum 10 and maximum more than that. But if you are interpreting, you should feed less than 10 brahmanas, then you will not get the benefit. When Shastra is recommending feed at least minimum 10, and if you are saying that you may feed only 1 or 2, so what is the use of doing that? Something like that. Some simple example that may not be the actual injunction. Another version has Shabdabrut. Persons who maintain the word dharma only, but acts otherwise. They speak about dharma, but they don't follow. If there is an injunction to give a cow, then the person will give a dying cow. This is also one more thing. In that Pitru Yajna, there is one injunction that one should offer a cow in charity. So, cow ko charity dena padega. So let us give a dying cow, a old cow. So that is not expected. A cow means giving a charity of cow means the cow which is very young and which is about to give birth to a baby. Only such kind of cow should be given in charity. So not a old cow, old and dying cow. If we give the old and dying cow, what will be the benefit of the receiving that cow to the Brahmana who is receiving it? It will be burden to that person. If it is a young cow is about to give baby, so they will get the milk and they will maintain the cow so that they will get the milk. So like that. So what one should do, one should not do. What kind of adharmic activities one should be away. So 5 dharmas are mentioned. Vidharma, Chaladharma, Abhava Dharma, Upadharma, Paradharma, etc. So next further. Yes, Vichaya Krita Prumbir.
Yastvicchaya kritah kumbhi
Abhaso hi ashramat pratak
आभासो हि अश्रमात् पृथक्
स्वभाव vihito dharma
स्वभावविहितो धर्मा
kasya neshta prashantaye.
कस्य नेष्टा प्रशान्तये. A pretentious religious system manufactured by one who willfully neglects the prescribed duties of his order of life is called abhasa, a deemed reflection or false. But if one performs the prescribed duties for his particular ashrama or varna, why are they not sufficient to mitigate all material distress?
Abhasa refers to concocting devata worship different from what is recommended in one's ashramas. Can dharma performed according to one's nature not produce relief from distress? So basically here, what one should not do, one more point is that one should not make oneself, one should not make rituals oneself according to one's own whims and fantasies. That is not recommended. As per one's ashrama, how one should worship, either it is prescribed in the Shastra, one should do. Otherwise, one should not do here and there. Just like in the fourth canto, when Narada Muni was telling Dhruva Maharaj, when you go to forest, one Madhuvan, every day morning take bath, every day 3 times take bath in the Madhuvan, in the Yamuna Nadi, and prepare a deity and offer to the deity whatever is available in the forest. And he told very systematically what is to be done, because Dhruva is a brahmachari, accordingly everything has been mentioned. Same way, everyone has to worship the devatas or the Supreme Lord according to one's situation. So like that. A grahastha can worship elaborately, a vanaprastha or brahmachari, sannyasi should worship simply because they don't have so much facilities. So in that way. Can dharma performed according to one's nature not produce relief from distress? Somebody may question. No, why? What is the problem? Let me do the way I want. Will that not produce results? Someone might question like that. Abhasa is creating some form of devata worship by one's imagination. Cannot dharma performed according to one's own nature, not just on birth, bring relief from distress? So ऐसा आभास धर्म करने से problem क्या है? Like that one may question. The answer is धर्मार्थम अपि नेहेता
Dharma artha pineheta
यत्रार्थम वादनोदनम
yat yatrartham vadanopanam
अनीयानीह मानस्य
anihani imanasya
महाहेर इव वृत्तिदा.
mahahet iva vrittita. Translation. Even if a man is poor, he should not endeavor to improve his economic condition just to maintain his body and soul together, or to become a famous religionist. Just as a great python, although lying in one place, not endeavoring for its livelihood, gets the food it needs to maintain body and soul. One who is desireless also obtains his livelihood without endeavor.
Even a poor man should not strive for wealth in order to execute acts of dharma or maintain one's body. Desirelessness gives livelihood to the person who does not act for such wealth and who is similar to a python. Here the point is that why you want to create a abhas dharma and do perform that and get some benefit. If you want to go back home back to Godhead, so better try to follow as much as possible and try to execute dharmic activities as much as your financial status allows. Why you want to showcase in front of everyone that I am also a big performer or something like that? That is not recommended. Instead, desirelessness is the most important thing for going back to Godhead Archan liberation. There should be no desire to get a material acquisition. There should be no desire to get material name and fame. People perform such kind of activities just to get name and fame among the society only. Otherwise, they are afraid of what society will think about me, like this, like that. They want to get name only for the sake of getting name. They do the so-called Vedic rituals, the Vedic ceremonies. That is not recommended. If at all a person want to go to attain liberation or go back home back to Godhead, then follow the Shastra properly. Maintain the desirelessness. Even if you don't perform, no problem. Lord Krishna says, Sarvadharman Paritejya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. You can give up all the dharmas according to your varna and ashrama. If you are not able to perform, better to give up and engage in bhakti. I will take care of the sin of not performing the dharmas. Aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshesya mascha. You don't worry. But the important is being determined to execute activities in a way to attain the desired destination, not a material gain and profit. So in that way. So then the question of performing abhas dharma is not at all arises. You don't have to concoct and perform the dharmic activities according to your own whims and fantasies. That is not required. That does not lead anywhere. If at all you want to go to spiritual world and attain liberation, better don't perform if you don't have ability. But instead focus on attain liberation, something like that. Or instead you can adopt the life of Python also. We have seen in the previous chapter, Prahlad Maharaj was discussing with Dattatreya, who was acting like a Python. He said, "Abhi do dekh bahut mein bhat dekh liya. People are performing activities for Sukha Prapti and Dukkha Nivritti. That anyway will not happen. I given up everything. I'm here. If it is there on my destiny, I'll get food. Otherwise, I'll fast." So like that. Such kind of person is qualified to attain liberation. So in that way, a poor person should not desire money for maintaining his own body. He should not strive for wealth. For one who does not desire the condition of being nishkama or not acting produces his means of livelihood. That means even a person is nishkama, even if does not act anything, still Lord will arrange food because he will be acting like a python. Python will be at one place only. The food will come on its own accord by the will of the destiny. So such kind of person will be fed happily. So in this connection, while I was reading, I remembered that story we hear in the beginning days of ISKCON. What was that story? That story of Chaitanya Charitamrita talks about this person. Just like Ratnakar, there was a hunter who was off killing the animals. And Narada Muni happened to go pass by. He saw the animals are being off killed. They are going through intense pain and torture. And he came to this hunter and he asked, either you kill the animals or don't kill the animals. Why are you off killing? He said, I don't know. My father taught.
His name was Mrigari.
Mrugari. Yes. Mrugari. He told that my father taught me like that I am killing. Then he said, why are you killing? I am killing because I need to maintain myself. I need to maintain my family. And he said, Narada told, if you are only wanting to maintain yourself and your family, you don't have to kill the animals. I'll tell you to do something you do, your maintenance will be taken care. He said, okay, if my maintenance taken care, why should I kill animals? I will not kill. Then Narada told him, become sannyasi, become sadhu. He became sadhu. In a day, the news fell all over. The people started coming to see him, and they would bring all the foodstuffs. They would offer so much, and he would not need so much food. He would take little whatever required for him, and remaining all he would distribute to all the people as Mahaprasad. So he became a big sadhu. So people say, Papi pet ka saval. For maintaining the stomach, I am doing all these things, but not required. The maintenance of the stomach is the responsibility of Lord Vishnu, who is the maintainer of the entire universe. He will maintain us. Somehow or other, something will be given to us. If Lord can maintain big elephants, can't he maintain a ordinary human being? Definitely will maintain. That's why it says that it is better to adopt the vritti of Python, Ajagara vritti, instead of creating Avasa dharmas, the so-called dharmas, and trying to follow and create oneself as a dharmadvaji in the society. Like that. So this is the point is being indicated here. And Narada Muni further continues. Santushtasya nirihasya
Santushtasya nirahasya
swatma ramasya yasukam
sattva ramasya yat sukham
kutastat kamalobena
tastat kamalobena
dhavato davatorte hayadisha.
davato lubdheya disha. Translation: for a person who has suitable shoes on his feet, there is no danger even when he walks on pebbles and thorns. For him, everything is auspicious. Similarly, for one who is always self satisfied, there is no distress. Indeed, he feels happiness everywhere.
So now, Sukadeva Goswami will answer that. One may say that no, whatever we are doing, it is to get happiness, sukha. So what this kind of person, desireless person who is living like a python, what happiness does he exist? Does he experience? Like that one may question. Now Sukadeva Goswami, now Narada Muni says, where is the happiness of the desireless, satisfied Atma Rama? For a person who runs in all directions with a desire for wealth out of lust and greed. On the contrary, Narada Muni is saying that the happiness that is experienced by a Nishkama person or a Atma Rama person who is following the lifestyle of a python, that does not even exist. In a householder who is always running here and there with the intention of getting wealth, being driven by kama and lobha, lust and greed. So, in comparison to Atma Rama person's happiness, the happiness of a householder who is always running out of lust and greed to get more and more wealth is not even an insignificant portion of that. So, from Narada Muni's point of view, the happiness of Nishkama and the happiness of Atma Rama and the happiness of Ajagara Vritti person is million times bigger than the happiness of a Grahastha. But on the contrary, in the modern context, the modern people will say that what kind of lifestyle, kuch hai hi nahi, na tikana, na gar, na kapda, like that they think that having a bungalow in South Mumbai is the greatest happiness. Eating on the golden plate with the golden spoon is the greatest happiness. Something like that one may say. But according to Narada Muni, it is completely opposite. So now he says, when a person is running here and there for getting wealth out of lust and greed, what kind of lifestyle such a person leads? And what kind of lifestyle this person will lead? A desireless and satisfied Atmarama. Sada santushta manasa.
Sada santushta manasa
Sarva shivamaya disha.
sarva shivamaya disha
Sharkara kantaka dibhyo.
sharkara kantaka dibhyo
Yatopanat pada shivam.
Yatopanat pada shivam. Translation. For a person who has suitable shoes on his feet, there is no danger even when he walks on pebbles and thorns. For him, everything is auspicious. Similarly, for one who is always self satisfied, there is no distress. Indeed, he feels happiness everywhere.
One who is always satisfied has auspiciousness everywhere. Basically, the desireless person, the self-satisfied Atmarama person, he only finds auspiciousness wherever he travels. Example is given. Just one who has shoes is protected from thorns and rocks. So, from the Nardamuni point of view, one who has kadau, the wooden shoes which sages wear, such a person, wherever he may walk, he will not be get hurt by thorns or rocks. Even though such person might be walking in the forest path, no thorns and no rocks, pebbles harm him. So like that, because Kadav is very strong, nothing can harm him. It so in that way. For one who has shoes on his feet, there is protection from the thorns. So like that. Santushtakena varajan.
संतुष्टकेन वा राजन्
Na vartetapi varina.
नावर्तेतापि वारिणा
औपस्या जैह्वया कार्पण्याद्
औपस्थ्या जैव्यकार्पण्याद्
गृहपालायते जनः.
गृहपालायते जना. My dear king, a self-satisfied person can be happy even with only drinking water. However, one who is driven by the senses, especially by tongues and genitals, must accept the position of a household dog to satisfy his senses.
O king, why can a self-satisfied person, that means the desireless and satisfied Atmarama, not be happy with drinking only water? Such a person, if he is traveling in the forest path, even if he does not get any fruits and roots, he will be happy by drinking a little water because he is not interested in eating this and that. He is only interested in contemplating on the Lord's pastimes. He is happy even with little morsel of water also. However, on the other hand, a person becomes a dog because of his pursuit of happiness derived from the activities of the genitals and tongue, aupastya and jahuya. Like in the Bhagavad, in the nectar of instructions we read, na Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jivva vegam udropastha vegam etan vegam yo vishita dira shishyam sa prithvi. So basically, there the 6 vegas are there. But of the 6, the most formidable vegas are the tongue, the Jivva Vegam and the Upastha Vegam. Jivva Vegam means the tongue is always hankering to eat this, eat that, eat this, eat that, always looking for different variety of foods. And Upastha Vegam looking for the counterpart. So like that. Can he exist only on water? Somebody may question. Oh, बोल रहे साधु, I mean, a self-satisfied person can drink water and be happy. मिलेगा क्या happiness? Just पानी पीने से? Yes, even by water he can exist because of the miserable condition of seeking happiness by actions of the genitals or tongue. He becomes a dog. On the other hand, even a person might be possessing big bungalow and so many other things, but if one is controlled by the tongue as well as the genital, such a person is no better than a dog. So this is Narada Muni's version, because Narada Muni himself is a renounced person. So and he is talking with the intention of attaining liberation. For a person who is interested in attaining liberation should not be running after tongue pleasure and genital pleasure. So that is understanding. In that way we should see. असन्तुष्टस्य विप्रस्य
असन्तुष्टस्य विप्रस्य
तेजो विद्यातपो यशः
तेजो विद्यातपो यशः
सर्वन्तीन्द्रियलौल्येन
स्रवन्तीन्द्रियलौल्येन्या
ज्ञानं चैवावकीर्तये
ज्ञानं चैवावकीर्त्यते. Because of greed for the sake of the senses, the spiritual strength, education, austerity, and reputation of a devotee or a brahmana who is not self-satisfied dwindle, and his knowledge gradually vanishes.
For the unsatisfied Brahmana, if a Brahmana is not satisfied, is not Atmarama, then what happens? His spiritual strength, education, austerity, and reputation of a Brahmana dwindle. Because of greed of senses, knowledge is thrown away. See, even one may be born in a Brahmana family, trained as a Brahmana, but if he is not self-satisfied, one spiritual strength, education, austerity, reputation as a Brahmana all dwindle like Ajamila. Because of greed for the senses, knowledge is thrown away. If one is running after tongue and genital, all their knowledge will be gone away. Just like Ajamila, what kind of situation he has gone through. So like that. कामस्यांतं हि क्षुत्रुभ्याम्
कामस्यान्तं हि श्रुतुभ्यां
क्रोधस्यैतत्फलोदयात्
क्रोधस्येतत् फलोदयात्
जनो याति न लोकस्य
जनो याति न लोभस्य
जिह्वा भुक्त्वा दिशो भुवः
जित्वा भुक्त्वा दिशो भुवः. Translation. The strong bodily desires and needs of a person disturbed by hunger and thirst are certainly satisfied when he eats. Similarly, if one becomes very angry, that anger is satisfied by chastisement and its reaction. But as for greed, even if a greedy person has conquered all the directions of the world or has enjoyed everything in the world, still he will not be satisfied.
So in the previous verse, there was a discussion about kama and aulya, lust and greed. But of the two, which is the most dangerous, that is being indicated in this verse. One can stop lust by becoming hungry and thirsty. One can stop anger by inflicting violence on the object of anger. But one cannot stop greed by conquering all directions and enjoying the whole earth. Lust and anger, at one point of time, they may get pacified, but not the greed. Greed will increase until one become the lord of the entire earth, eventually entire universe. Till then, it will not stop. Like Hiranyakashipu, he could have been happy, but he wanted to kill Vishnu and he wanted to sit on the throne of Brahma and he wanted to become the one single Swami of the entire universe. So there is no end to the greed. Even Lord Vamana tells the same thing to Bali Maharaj. When Bali said, please ask whatever charity you want, I will give you. He said, I just want 3 pairs of land according to my measurement. And Bali told, hey, my dear boy, you are speaking like a learned Brahmana, but you appears to be like a learned Brahmana, but you ask only for small things. What is this? You are not intelligent enough to ask. I can offer you one full planet. Or you are asking only 3 pairs of land. What is this? Then Lord Vamana also says same thing. If one is not satisfied whatever one has, one will never be satisfied even if one gets the entire universe. That is the nature of the greed. There is no end to the greed. So, lust can be satisfied by becoming hungry and thirsty. Anger can be satisfied by becoming angry on someone, but not the greed. Dissatisfaction arises from greed because greed is difficult to conquer. Dissatisfaction is hard to remove. This is explained in 2 verses. When one is hungry and thirsty from not eating because of the actions of burning dhatus, one can stop lust. So, external lust can be pacified by becoming hungry and thirsty. If we are feeling so lusty, we should fast. So then, initially the mind was wandering about the object of sense gratification. But when one becomes physically hungry and thirsty, the mind cannot think anything else. Mind only thinks about food. Just like recently we had Nirjala Ekadashi. So morning it was fine, afternoon also it was fine. By the time it evening, there is no other thing. Only one thought in the mind. When will the fast breaking time will come? Abhi bahut ho gaya. So like that. So when a person is hungry and thirsty, he cannot think anything else other than how to pacify the hunger and thirst. So this is one formula given in the Bhagavatam, how to control lust. So like that. Anger is stopped by violence. If somebody is really angry, so express that anger and somewhere so that one becomes completely pacified. So like that. One cannot stop greed, composed of desires. Though one conquers the directions or enjoys the entire earth, but greed cannot be pacified. Greed for food, however, is stopped by filling the belly. If somebody is greedy after food, yeah, eat until neck. That will be satisfied for the time being. Because it is not difficult to stop. It is not mentioned here separately. Matlab, greediness for food can be stopped to some extent. That's why that is not mentioned clearly. But greed in general in terms of possessions, enjoyment, and all, there is no end to that. So, in that way. And then Narada Muni continues, Pandita Bahavo Rajan.
Pandita Bahavo Rajan.
Bahugnya Samshayachida.
Bahudnya Samshayachida.
Sadasaspatayopyeke.
Sadasaspatayotyeke.
Asantoshat patantyada.
Asantoshat patantyada. O King Yudhishthira, many persons with varied experience, many legal advisors, many learned scholars, and many persons eligible to become presidents of learned assemblies fall down into hellish life because of not being satisfied with their position.
So finally the warning is given. Even though many well-qualified people fall down because they could not control their greed. That is the problem. O King, many learned persons with great knowledge, many legal advisors, that means many mantris, and many leaders of the assemblies fall down into hellish life because of not being satisfied. Asantoshat patantyada. Asantosha is the only reason for one's fall down. The uselessness of good qualities in the presence of strong greed is shown. Even though one may possess all wonderful qualities, but if there is a little greed, that's all. So then, from the beginning, you are talking about lust, greed, anger, all these things. But what is the solution? How to overcome all these things? Is there any way by which we can protect ourselves from not being subjected to kama, krodha, lobha, mada, moha, masara, such kind of anarthas, which bring one to hellish condition? So we'll just see three verses and then close for today. So last 3 verses. But before that, any questions till now?
Okay. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji, I have one question.
Hmm.
Prabhuji, in the last class, you mentioned that we should not accept property from our grandparents if we do not perform any Shraddha rituals for them. So this seems to apply mainly to the son and daughter-in-law. But what about daughters? When a girl gets married, her gotra changes and she goes to another family. Then what can she do for her own parents? Can she still do mala jap, chanting or something else for them? Means how can she express her gratitude toward the ones who raised her and gave her an education? After all, daughters to carry the matru pitru rin, debt towards a mother and father.
By doing her duties properly in the in-laws home.
Okay.
So wherever one is, if one is following one's dharma properly, one can bring benefit to everyone.
Means
Whoever contributed in their
also.
upbringing, whoever contributed in their upbringing, they will be benefiting all of them if one is doing one's duty properly, wherever one is.
Okay.
So nowadays, now this has become a big thing. People say that no, but the girls say that my parents have educated me, and they brought up me, they did all these things. So after marriage, I need to take care of my parents. Problem is, after marriage, the girls are interested to take care of the parents, but they don't take care of the in-laws. They say that no, the women also should be given equal rights and equal this thing should be there, equal treatment. If the boy is taking care of the his parents, and the girl can take care of her parents. So what is the problem? So logically, this is perfectly right. No one can dispute this from logical point of view. But from Shastra point of view, the system of marriage has been ordained by Brahma from the very beginning. We have been mentioned this in the past also. In our Indian cultural connotation, marriage is called as, I am asking all of you, what are the different synonyms that are being used for marriage?
संस्कार, विवाह संस्कार बोलते हैं तुझे.
Then what else?
आश्रम.
There are many more synonyms. The most properly used synonym, the most widely used synonym for marriage ceremony. What is that?
Prabhuji, it is Pani Grahan Sanskar.
No, not Panigrahan. It is also Panigrahan Sanskar, but it is not the most.
Kanyadan.
Kanyadan. So now please, all of you are elders. What do you mean by Kanyadan? There are two words. One is Kanya, other one is Dan. You tell me the meaning of both the words separately and combine both the words and tell the meaning of the conjoined word. What is the meaning of Kanyadan?
Kanya, she remains Kanya, and Dan is she is given as
Okay.
Dan to the brahmachari.
Then what?
So once you have given the Dan, you don't take any. Once you have given the Dan, you don't accept anything from that person. You have given us Dan, no?
Then what all including that not accepting anything from the Dan?
Her earnings after that and her prosperity, everything. But not her seva. For parents, she is also supposed to do seva.
So that is very simple. So in the marriage, when the parents are offering their girl in charity to the bridegroom, they don't have any rights with respect to that charity, the object of that charity. That's all. Their belongingness is completely cut. From Shastra point of view, it is wrong on the part of the parents to expect some favors from the daughter. And also, as per Shastra, even the daughter also should not be harboring after the welfare of the parents. Because now she has been given as the object of charity to a different family. She belongs to the different family. She has to look after the welfare of the family into which she was given in Kanyadan. This is Shastric understanding. But unfortunately, today's situation is different. The problem is not a problem is where the problem, in the name of taking care of the parents, they don't take care of the in-laws. No problem. You take care of the in-laws and take care of the parents, then there is no issue. Do all these things for the in-laws and do for the parents also, there is no issue. But there is a discrimination in taking care of these two parties. That is the problem. Of course, we cannot tell what other people are doing in the devotee circles, but especially in the case of devotees. So if they want to take care of the parents, first take care of the in-laws and then take care of the parents. No problem. Now, but do not take care of the parents at the cost of in-laws. So this is what is understanding from Shastra. I'm sorry if I am not hurting somebody's feelings, but this I'm just simply speaking from Shastra point of view. I don't have any personalized agenda. I'm just stating.
You are telling
Thank-
practically what is happening today. It is correct, Prabhuji.
Yes, thank you so much, Prabhuji. It is like, matlab, I am feeling ki, since I am doing all my duties towards my in-laws, but जैसे parents ने जो upbringing किया, education दिया, तो for that sake, मतलब एक feeling, gratitude feeling एक होता है ना कि like parents के लिए उनके लिए भी कुछ करना चाहिए. So for that thing I am asking.
No, further Shastra says, wherever we are, if we perform our dharma properly, whoever contributed in our entire life so that we are able to do what we are supposed to do properly, they are all will get benefit.
Okay, and one more question, Prabhuji. If the parents, means after marriage, if the parents are giving some share property to to their daughter, then should the daughter accept it or what? By will, by their will.
Actually, they should not give anything to the daughter. They should give to the son-in-law. But unfortunately, nowadays the son-in-law is also not in that, what you can say, because the Shastric understanding of life is not there. That is the problem. See, you are giving two things in charity. One is the girl who is your Kanya, and second thing is some possessions. So these two things are given to the bride. So the normal understanding is that everything has been given to the bride. But nowadays they give in the name of their daughter. So something like that. According to Shastra, that is not advisable. But unfortunately, today's situations are entirely different. So we cannot say, like Shastra is saying, like they should follow like this. Because nowadays the people try to cheat or exploit. That is also happening. So on the safe side, the parents looking for the welfare of the daughter, they may give something in the name of the daughter so that in the difficult circumstances, the girl will have something to take shelter of, at least from the material safety point of view, material protection point of view. Because unfortunately, our culture is like that. We cannot implement each and every scriptural principle as it is. So sometimes it is very difficult. The Shastric principles seems to be outdated completely because our atmosphere is completely against to it. So it is very difficult.
Yes, thank you so much, Prabhuji.
We cannot say this way, that way, but the general principle is when something is given, that's why we see in the Ramayana, Mahabharata and all, the in-law parents will offer so many gifts on their own to the bride. But nowadays the bride demands, give me dowry, give me this much dowry, that much dowry, this much gold, that much possession, this, that. See, in Shastra, everything is given out of love. But nowadays it has become a business demand. So we are far away from Shastric lifestyle. So it is like that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Like, I understood your point that the girl should do for the both parties, like her parents as well as her husband's parents. Like, then it is okay because Nowadays. we
No, no,
see
no,
the-
no. I said because of the current day circumstances.
Yeah.
According to
that's it.
Shastra, once she has given to some family, she belongs to that family only. She should never look back.
Understood, Prabhuji. Like what you
Hmm.
explained is for today's this thing, but what I am saying is, like in now days, current days, many of the parents have only one daughter. So means in their old age, how far it is, apt to say that because she is taking care of her
Okay. Now,
in-laws, her
Before
parents
going further,
needs whatever is.
before going further, I'll just give you Shastric understanding. Shastra says, even those parents who have only one son, they are considered to be barren parents. Then what to speak of someone who has only one daughter? They are obviously barren parents. In spite of having a daughter, they are supposed to be like a barren parents. So what will be the destiny of barren parents?
I don't know, according to the Shastras, what is.
According to Shastra, once you have given your daughter in charity to some family, that's all. Neither the girl should look back, nor the parents should anticipate some help from the daughter. They should live like the barren parents.
It is not merciless thinking like this, Prabhuji.
No, the problem is what you are looking for. You are looking for material comfort.
Not
When
material
Shastras,
comfort.
no,
Not
it ultimately boils down to that only material. It may not be comfort. It may be for material security. It may be for material maintenance.
Prabhuji,
But
if the
Shastra,
parents are ill, if they are old,
Hmm.
suppose 70, 80 years old parents, and they need some
Hmm.
medical help, they need whatever physically
Okay.
assistance,
What
all
did we
these
study?
things.
What did we study in the 12th and 13th chapters? End of the 12th chapter and end of the end of the 13th chapter. If somebody is ill, what they are supposed to do?
As a vanaprasthis.
Yes. Now after marriage is over, the daughter of marriage is over, then you become vanaprastha. Why one has to hook on to home only? Hook on to home, that too in Mumbai city.
But currently, who goes to for vanaprastha to the forest? Let me
See,
discuss that
that's what the
also, na?
point. See, that's what the point. See, when we are discussing these 5 chapters, every verse is spoken with only single pointed agenda. That is to go back home back to Godhead. If your purpose of your living is go back home back to Godhead, why you need to receive comforts or the security or shelter from daughter or son or anybody? Prepare yourself to go back home back to Godhead. Whether you are healthy or sick, it does not matter.
Because
If you have to go back home
also
to God, why you want to extend your tenure here in this material world?
No, Prabhuji.
What I am saying, it looks to be very merciless, very this thing. But is it not better you go back home back to God 10 days earlier than suffering 10 more days here?
What is the guarantee, Prabhuji? Like, means, behaving that way. It's, like, suppose everyone is devotee, the daughter is devotee, the parents are devotee, they are following the devotional practices properly. And if physically they need something and daughter helps, where it is going to come in the way of going back to God.
Keep all these things aside. What Kunti Maharani told just after Mahabharata battle when Lord Krishna was returning to Dwaraka, what did she say? Now, till now, they had so many troubles. Now they will be happy living. At least now there will not be, at least they may not anticipate any problems hereafter because Duryodhana dead. So they can live happily, comfortably, and safely, securely. But in that safe, happy condition, comfortable condition, what did Kunti Maharani says? The very first canto, at the very beginning, they were the very onset of Srimad Bhagavatam. What did Kunti Maharani say?
Sorry, Prabhuji, but I don't remember what exactly you are referring to.
Kunti
She said,
says,
please cut.
Prabhuji, Kunti says you cut that knot of that Varshini category also, and her father's side also, from husband's side also, all this thing she is cutting the knot.
Means
She
what?
doesn't want to be intended to father's side or husband's side. She
वो
wants
ठीक है,
to
वो
become
समझ
free
गया,
so that
but
she
उसका
can go
मतलब क्या
back
है?
to Godhead.
उसका मतलब क्या है?
She is purely detached from both the sides. Detachment.
Let me not hold any bodily connections from now onwards. Let my mind flow towards your lotus feet, just like Ganga always runs toward the ocean. See, Bhagavatam has only one agenda: sending the devotee back home, back to Godhead. When Bhagavatam can send one back to Godhead, then a person becomes Vairagi, completely detached. When there is a discussion about detachment, there should be no thought about attachment. Apparently, it may appear so cruel, so merciless, but that is the only way to get detached from this world. Otherwise, our attachment to this material world will never end. In spite of being a devotee also. A devotee also grossly or subtly can be attached to some in this material world, quote unquote. There could be many, not some. So, just to conclude all of your questions, it is the responsibility of children, whether it may be son or daughter, in the old age of the parents, to facilitate in such a way they can practice bhakti 24/7 without any hurdles, without any anxiety looking after their own maintenance. Ultimately, Lord can maintain. A person can survive a day even without food just by drinking water. However, it is the responsibility of children to provide their basic necessities of life so that they can practice bhakti without any anxiety or worries. For that, whatever is required, they can do. Even if there is a single daughter, with the cooperation of the husband and in-laws, they can provide the basic necessities for the parents. Of course, the parents also must be having, they also must have worked all the while. In spite, after the marriage of the daughter also, they will have something. It's not that they become paupers on the roadside. So they need to keep as the minimum as possible just to maintain their body and soul together so that they can practice bhakti 24/7. The more they possess, the more they anchor for, the more they will remain in this material world. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, that's what I was saying. It's whatever is minimum required wherever, so that daughters can intervene. But not that parents keep asking something from the daughter or expecting something from the daughter. But yes, of course, like taking care of parents is one of the quality which is also mentioned in the Shastra. So as the son does that, the daughter also can do. And at the same time, her whatever responsibility of taking care of in-laws, that also she should.
Yeah. No problem.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we'll just quickly read through these 3 verses and we'll close for today. It's already maybe because the context is about same things. Just we'll read through. Asankalpajayet kamam
Asankalpajayet kamam
krodam kama vivarjanat
krodham kama vivarjanat
arthanartekshaya lobam
arthanarthe kshaya lobham
vayam tatvavamarsanat.
ayam tatvavamarshana. By making plans with determination, one should give up lusty desires for sense gratification. Similarly, by giving up envy, one should conquer anger. By discussing the disadvantages of accumulating wealth, one should give up greed. And by discussing the truth, one should give up fear.
Yeah. One conquers lust by negative determination. One conquers anger by giving up the desire for violence. One gives up greed by seeing the uselessness of objects of greed. One gives up fear by considering that all suffering is caused by karma. So how to give up all these anarthas? One by one is mentioned here. One should conquer kama by the decision not to enjoy the opposite sex or the object of one's desire. Even through remembering them, since that also gives rise to lust. So one should be determined not to have any object of enjoyment even when one's thought process. Then only one can conquer kama. That is understanding. One should have a negative determination such as, today I will not enjoy. With that decision, one conquers lust by fasting, by hunger and thirst. So like that. By giving up the desire for violence, one conquers anger. That means follow ahimsa paramo dharma principle. So then one conquers anger. By the practice of seeing the uselessness of objects of greed, one conquers greed. So one has a greed to accumulate more and more material possessions. Ultimately, one who want to go back to Godhead, what is the use of possessing so many material products? So then one give up the greed. By considering that one is simply receiving the results of one's karma, one sees that there is no other cause of fear, and thus one gives up fear. The fear is basically what will happen to me, what will happen tomorrow, what will happen, kaise hoga, kya hoga. If something happens, good or bad, one should think that it is a result of my karma. I deserve it, I get it. Then there is no need of becoming fearful or becoming worried about what is going to happen tomorrow, like that. So, like this, one can control kama, krodha, lobha, and bhaya. So, these are mentioned in the first verse. The second verse talks about few other things. Anvikshikya shokamohau
Anvikshikya shokamohau
dambau mahadupashaya
dambam mahadupasaya
yogantarayan maunena
yogantarayan maunena
himsam kamadhanihaya.
himsam kamadhanihaya. By discussing spiritual knowledge, one can conquer lamentation and illusion. By seeing a great devotee, one can become prideless. By keeping silent, one can avoid obstacles on the path of mystic yoga. And simply by stopping sense gratification, one can conquer envy.
By considering what is Atma and non-Atma, Anvikshikya means Sankhya Yoga. One should be expert in Sankhya. By becoming expert in Sankhya Yoga, one can conquer lamentation and illusion, Shoka and Moha. The material Shoka, material Moha is because of our ignorance. So Anvikshika means proper knowledge of what is Atma, what is not Atma. So simple. There will be no illusion, there is no Moha, no Shoka. By serving a great devotee, one can become prideless. Amanitvam. So by serving a pure devotee, one can become humble. By keeping silent, one can avoid obstacles on the path of yoga. So the Prabhupada explains the Mauna means not to speak anything other than Krishna Katha. So our mind might say to speak this, speak that, but just become silent in regards to material topics. But in regards to Krishna Katha, one can speak unlimitedly. By giving up desire for sense gratification, one can conquer violence. What was the purpose of inflicting violence upon others? Because I want to enjoy, I want to possess. If that is given, then no need to create violence upon others. So like that. So in this way, in this, how to control Shoka, Moha, Dhamba, and Himsa. All these things can be controlled by these things. The last verse for today. Kripaya bhutajam dukkham
कृपया भूतजं दुःखं
दैवं जय्या समाधिना
दैवं जय्यात् समाधिना
आत्मजं योगवीर्येण
आत्मजं योगवीर्येण
निद्रां सत्त्वनिषेवया.
निद्रां सत्त्वानिषेवया. By good behavior and freedom from envy, one should counteract sufferings due to other living entities. By meditation in trance, one should counteract sufferings due to providence. And by practicing Hatha Yoga, Pranayam, and so forth, one should counteract sufferings due to the body and mind. Similarly, by developing the mode of goodness, especially in regard to eating, one should conquer sleep. Hare Krishna.
One conquers violence to other living entities by doing beneficial acts for them. Instead of harming others, always serve others. So when we make our lives the ambition to serve others, then why would we harm others? So like that. One conquers anxiety from seeing omens by concentration on the Lord. So there could be anxiety because of the bad omens, something like that. But all such things can be removed by meditating on the Supreme Lord. So in that way. One conquers physical suffering by the practice of yoga. The physical means the bodily and mental problems. Prabhupada writes as by performing pranayama. So pranayama keeps good health. One conquers sleep by taking small quantities of sattvic food. So one may be feeling so sleepy. If we eat tamasic food, we feel so much sleepy. If we eat sattvic food, we may not feel so much sleepy. So in that way. One should give up giving inflicting suffering on others by doing beneficial acts of them. By expressing krupa on others, we can give up violence upon others. Daiva means undue mental affliction caused by natural signs of disaster. So natural calamities we may put into fear, like Corona came, everyone is afraid, but devotees are blissful. They were hearing so many classes morning to evening, and they were reading and studying and chanting more. They were doing deity worship more, so they were happy. Then one who fails in his endeavors becomes depressed without cause. This is conquered by concentrating the mind on the Lord. So one may be worried that I wanted to do this, I could not do it. It's okay, what can be done? It could not happen, so it did not happen. But meditate on the Supreme Lord. So that will help. So in that way. Suffering caused by one's body is conquered by pranayama and other yoga processes. Asana, pranayama, pratyahara will keep our good health. Sleep is conquered by eating small amounts of sattvic food or by serving living entities. Like that. So in this way, how these anarthas, which are detrimental to our spiritual progress, can be conquered, can be controlled. So some solutions are offered by Srila Narada Muni here. So thank you very much for joining today evening. So we'll stop here and we'll continue from text number 25 onwards in our next class. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्त वृंद की जय.
जय. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.